Hello, everybody. Hola. And now please welcome on stage myself. Yep. So I'm going to take the next 1 hour of your time and life to tell you something very important and to show you something very important. It's here. It's very, very impressive, but I'll tell you later about it. I have a few t-shirts I need to give away. Some of them are reserved. Yeah, we need to see whether we have enough t-shirts here. So the next presentation is about something we tried doing. You will find out whether we succeeded or not. I gave a similar presentation in another conference, so whoever has seen it, there will be an update somewhere in the middle of the presentation. A very important announcement. I work for Zoiper, as you know, and we give free Zoiper licenses to everybody who's joining this conference today and yesterday. All you have to do is send an email to mira@zoiper.com. Now I'm going to go with some gratitude. I think that we need to take a few minutes to thank Paul, Jorge, and Edgar. And Valeria, who's translating for me today, is there. Thank you. I promise to speak slowly. And thank you, everybody, for making it today. Then I will do some complaining, some nagging. I am not very happy about something. I have a huge complaint and a huge request as well. I don't see enough female speakers, and this is a big problem. I need this fixed, okay? We need more pink. Now, today, I am young. I'm 33 years old. I know I look younger, thank you. But one day I will get old, and so will you. Well, if you're lucky enough, if you have a healthy lifestyle. Now, in Zoiper, we thought about this, and we decided to build something for the elderly, for our grandparents, and for our parents, and for ourselves within a few years, unless they find some other way that we can communicate in. And we decided to build open hardware together with the software that we're producing. So what is our aim? Our aim is, and looks like this. We want a hardware phone that is big enough, and it's interesting enough, and it's easy enough to be used by elderly people. And supposedly it should look like this. We'll see later how it looks like. Now, it has to have an outstanding quality, and so on and so on. Now, oh no, I gave it away. Maybe we have failed. So, we tried a few things that don't work and don't do the work for us. Everything on the market we tried didn't work for us. It doesn't mean that there are no solutions that we haven't tried yet, and they could possibly work. So we're not disregarding this option. A docking station for iPad didn't work for us. Building our own from scratch also didn't work for us. And patching parts, maybe it worked somewhat. Now, we had to start with the right requirements, and we had to analyze our market. So as you know already, our market is elderly people. So they have no idea of technology generally, most of them. They have generally multiple physical limitations, such as hearing or some visual challenges and motor challenges, which means that it should be extremely easy to use and extremely reliable. And of course, in most countries, elderly people don't have the money to pay for the hardware, so it should be cheap. Now, these are the super simple specifications for the solution. As I said, it has to be cheap. It has to have a really big touch screen, preferably above 10 inches, so that it can have a lot of pictures located there, as you will see later. It needs to be fast enough. It needs to have the ability to run custom software. And also we need to be able to modify the operating system. Now, a lot of other things need to be there, and a lot of other things are good to have, but they're very difficult to achieve according to what we saw. So let's see what we tried. This is what we had in the office, and we tried. We tried the Raven. It cost $350. We tried the Ubiquiti Executive, $370. We tried the Maxwell, $500. The Grandstream for $320. And we didn't try that one for $4,000. But I hear it's really good. If you have some extra, you can send it to me. I offer t-shirts in return. Now, why we couldn't use this hardware? Now, for those of you who can read this, it's for latency purposes. They're not good enough. The quality is not good enough. So could we bring it down from 300, 400 milliseconds to 40? Yes, we probably could with a lot of work, but it would require a lot of resources. What are the alternatives? As I said, a docking station for iPad is an alternative, but there are a lot of downsides, such as the cost, which is something that we need to have in mind when we're building open hardware for the elderly. Now, the cheapest one we found was $150. If you find a cheaper one, come and tell me, because I need one. It requires an iPad, which is not an inexpensive thing to have. The cheapest one we found was $400. It looks a bit clumsy, and most importantly, iOS does not allow disabling of other applications or modifying the software. So we couldn't really limit it well enough. Now, we could have built our own from scratch based on just the CPU, but again, it would require a huge amount of resources, and first, we don't have the time, and we don't want to allocate a lot of resources because we want to keep the cost low. Now, bundling different parts is what we went for. You're going to see what we have here. It's very important that you see this because it's impressive, really. We use the development board. Hello. A camera, a speaker, and so on, and so on, and so on. And the coolest software ever created, which is Zoiper. How does the development boards we tried? We tried everything in pink, and the one we used is the Dragon board. It's not here because we couldn't really take it, but you can imagine that it's here. I think that we also tried with the banana pie. Not sure? Okay. There's a banana, but no, not for that reason. I'll tell you later. I don't take questions. I'm looking at you. Now, optional specifications. We wanted to have all these important specifications on hand if possible. Only on top of everything else I said that we require, because they would be good to have for optimization reasons. Now, we had to decide to use Android or Linux. Okay, Android is based on Linux, but we had to decide whether we're going to use Android or Linux. Now, Android is a good solution, but and also we can add more applications that can be bundled together with this one or can work simultaneously to make it good for the elderly people to use. Now, Android for work with the mobile device manager is also a good solution and is better suited for touchscreens, but the software itself, Zoiper, for Android has landscape support, and Zoiper for Linux is optimized for bigger screens. So we had to have into consideration our own software as well and our own investment as well. So we decided we'll go for Android. Now, these development boards, there are some issues there. On some of them, we couldn't get Android to run. I'm expecting some argument here that I cannot face, but somebody in the audience will be able to cover it later if you want to talk about these problems that we had with the development boards. Touch screens were another issue that we had, a huge issue. We had to decide what type of touch screen we were going to use, and we also had to keep the cost of the touch screen low. Now, we of course wanted capacitive touch screen and not a resistive. They had to be big enough, which is already hard to find. To bundle it into the hardware itself, to create the hardware itself, it's hard enough to make. We couldn't find it. Now, we have those two that we tried. We spent $50 on the 7-inch one and $90 on the 10-inch one. We couldn't really get a very good touch support, but at least we tried. Audio quality and latency, another issue we had. As you can see, not a good idea. Again, we got 430 milliseconds on the Android C2, and on Pine 64 we got 360 milliseconds. It's not good news. The quality with the last one was at least good. Now, if we could use dedicated USB audio, we didn't notice any difference, okay, not noticeable difference, but we ran out of time with what I wanted to show you today. Now I'm headed towards the best part. I want to remind you what we wanted to achieve, and for the time being, we have already spent half a year on that. Well, not in full capacity of the team. This is what we wanted to achieve. This would be how, in its best way, how it was going to look like. And we ended up with this. Why are you laughing? It's funny, yeah? Well, also, we were able to find some boards that don't work well. We made a design, so we have the design, you'll see it here again. We found some cheap capacitive touchscreens, and we have a basic 3D mock-up for printing. Now, what we did is really, really cool. This is the design of it. We need this design. It's really cool. Now this explains why I have a banana on my shirt and why there's this huge banana laying on the stage. Is it here? Why is this huge banana laying on the stage? We decided to call it banana phone because it's easy to remember for our elderly relatives, and it really looks cool. Now you'll see it live. Ta-da! Now, that thing is really expensive. Also, we had a little problem with the designer. We got the touch screen. You can see it here. You cannot touch it because it will fall apart. The touchscreen is actually a functional touchscreen. It works. We broke it on the way here. We broke it on the way here. My flight was 36 hours. Not that I had to carry it. But we had to 3D print the body of the phone, and we had to match the screen with the phone. So this design kind of resulted in a much bigger phone than what we wanted. You can try it. I'll do it slowly. This is how it looks like. It's very important. I'm pausing. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean anything, okay? We failed a lot. We really failed a lot. But we like playing with really cool devices in the office. We like playing with our software. We like pushing the boundaries. And in fact, sooner or later, we will come up with a proper desk phone that is going to work, and it will be optimized for use for the elderly people, because we have dedicated and allocated a lot of resources on that. Now, we got a lot of knowledge. We got a lot of know-how on how this can be achieved. We still haven't done it yet, but we will. Now, I know this was really, really short. There are a lot more of things that I want to talk to you about, but I decided to allocate a lot of time on discussing what the options are and what the possibilities are. I don't take questions because I hate them. But if you want to ask questions, you can ask them. Easy things. I don't speak very good Spanish, and I'm not very technical, but there's somebody technical here who's Joachim. He's the founder of Zoiper, and he's here in the audience. He will be able to answer all your technical questions in relation to this beautiful piece of art here, as well as all the difficulties we had when we had to decide on the hardware that we're going to use. Now, again, I would like to remind you that we give away free Zoiper licenses. So if you want, just email mira@zoiper.com and I will provide you with free licenses. We also offer discounts for everybody here. If you want to build your own custom soft phone, you can talk to us. Well, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed being here at Elastix. It's a pleasure for us, and we'll definitely be here next year. Thank you, everybody. Shirts. We have shirts. No, really, you can ask questions. Oh, you have a question, sir?
This one, I guess, is, well, for both. What was the biggest challenge when building this, from your side and from your side?
Oh, I think the biggest challenge was the technical difficulties. I had no issues here. All I had to do is talk about the difficulties and also decide to do it. Now, the decision to build hardware for the elderly comes from the fact that it doesn't exist. Just like anything else in business, if you don't find it, and we needed it, so we decided to build it on our own. But the technical difficulties are the real difficulties. It's not the business itself, because there's a market for it. It's completely open. We can provide you with the 3D designs for it. You can build it yourself. You can 3D print it yourself. There's no problem. We can also provide you with the know-how, everything we have. We have the schematics for it as well. So everything is open. I think that you should do it. There is a market for it. And the technical difficulties were compatibility issues, probably.
I think the biggest challenges were to try to find something that actually is affordable. So we were aiming for something that would cost, like, if you would assemble it yourself, and you were able to purchase a body, would maybe be around $100. So we were limited in sourcing the parts that would fit that price. The hardest part there is the actual touchscreens. The choice of going with Android to have the best touch experience and be able to configure it with Android for work, etc., was proved to be very difficult because there's almost no drivers or no touch screens for that size that have the drivers for it. The biggest issue in the end turned out to be the latency on Android. So none of the development boards that we tried so far had acceptable latency. All of them are upwards of 400 milliseconds. That's just in the audio drivers. That's without any network, any CPU processing. It's already 400 milliseconds. So if you have to make a telephone call to the other side of the world, you'll end up over half a second. It's not going to be acceptable. Optimizing it is very hard. And in general, the support for those dev boards, it's mainly for Linux. And the Android drivers are not so good, so the quality of the audio was also not so good. Now, Mira did explain that there are some other boards coming, like the Dragon board 410C that's using a Qualcomm chipset instead of MediaTek. That might have a better quality or lower latency. We haven't been able to try it yet, but that one alone is already, I think, we purchased it for maybe around $100. So it is getting much more expensive already. So I hope in the future there might be some solutions. Maybe somebody else will figure out some better way of reducing the latency on some of the boards. Maybe Android 7 or Android 8 or Android 9 will do better there, but at the moment it's not really feasible to do it.
We also need a port for LT. It's better for handling video.
Excellent answer. A follow-up question. What 3D printer did you use?
Oh, that's a good question. You answered.
I actually don't know. We outsourced it. It was printed in 4 parts, I think. No.
No, it's.
How many parts is it?
It is 4 parts.
I think 4 parts, yeah.
4 parts.
4 parts in a cable.
Because it was a little bit bigger than I ordered it. Just a little bit bigger. I mean, not too much. Just double the size I need. There's a question there, I think.
Okay. Hi, Mira.
Hi.
I've been using Zoiper for a quite long time. I really thank you for developing such a good software. I'm not able to use the features up to now, but I think that with the code that you provide us, I will be able to use the features. I found some handset, some banana things, quite cheaper, like for $10, that connect to the phones for Samsung or iPhone, and the cost is cheaper. So I'm wondering, why are you trying to develop a board and all that when you could use instead the existing phones or a Bluetooth connection to the TV? That's for the elderly. I don't know if some elder people have problems, and they all have phones like Samsung J7 and all that, and your software works really good on Android. So I think I had some issues with the LSD thing and all that. So I understand that they most come from China, and when you push the A, it goes to the S or the D, and have all that kind of stuff. So if you try to design boards, I found some interesting projects on the Bitcoin mining, Butterfly Labs. I don't know if you know. They use those boards are used for Bitcoin mining and processing, and data processing, crunching, and all that. So I think the processor may be some kind of peer-to-peer. Instead of having the board process all that information. And I will resolve the issue for the handset with a Bluetooth connection that can connect to any phone, instead of developing some boards and do all that. I don't know if that can help.
There are several reasons. We have thought about this. We have thought about this. There are several reasons. Now, we want to limit the errors, the human errors on the side of the elderly people. They would sometimes forget to charge Bluetooth. They would sometimes not be able to think about starting the application. We should be able to modify the operating system so that we limit it to use to one application. Now, the ultimate idea was to have an actual touchscreen just with pictures of their relatives. So it would be your daughter here and your granddaughter here and so on and so on. And when they click on the picture, they will be able to call, and there will be only a hang up button. Now, they would still have the ability to make a video call if they want to. But again, this is just wishful thinking for the moment. Also, most people currently are still used to using this. So the physical feeling of holding it is something that we found out with a little research that they need it in order to feel like they're talking to somebody. Even if it's non-functional, which is the case now, even if it's non-functional, they still need it because they have the feeling of it. Now, there are other reasons. I don't know technically what the problem was. Maybe you need a microphone? Or you can just come here. Come on, come on. Come here. No. Yeah. And also, any suggestions are welcome for the touch screens.
So the other reasons why we didn't use a tablet, as Mira explained in the beginning, we did try to use a docking station for an iPad, for example. I didn't find any docking stations that were appropriate for an Android-based tablet. We did play with some Android-based tablets and were thinking to maybe make our own docking station for it. Unfortunately, the tablets on Android for that size and reasonable latency is already $500 and upwards of that as well. So it still did not achieve what we wanted to. And on top of that, we couldn't do certain functionality would be very hard. Like if you want to have an external speakerphone, a different one, it would be difficult. Because then we have to switch between the normal handset and the other one. We could not show a visual notification that something was happening. For example, an incoming call, we could make it flash. There were lots of other limitations there as well.
And why don't you use Bluetooth connections instead? I've been using, for example, Plantronics headset for a while, and it rings on the PC and on the handset, and you can pair up to 2 devices at the same time. Well, I think the TV is a good option instead of trying to develop a tablet, and you can use the handset, like the banana thing, with a Bluetooth connection with a TV.
Yeah, so the docking station we used was using Bluetooth. Unfortunately, it's not all that user-friendly. I mean, it was not what my grandparents, for example, were expecting. If you would have to start to pair this Bluetooth headset every now and then, it would mean they just simply wouldn't be able to use it.
Not only this, but we made a user experience map. And my time is up. I'll be done in 2 seconds. We used the user experience map to map all the steps that the user can do and where they can go wrong. That would be my specialization. Now, in this situation, the best way to go was to make sure that there are no errors on the way for the call. So there's nothing that can go wrong. And this was extremely important for this particular project. Not for the other projects we are working on, but for this particular project. Also, we needed a lot of optimization for any challenges that our market would have, which is elderly people, so they would have some hearing challenges, some visual challenges. Things had to be really, really big, or they had to be optimized according to the hearing or visual requirements of the user, and also motor-wise, if they cannot. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah. So in regards to the television suggestion, we did play with televisions as well. So there is something called Android TV. We bought such a TV just to play with it. Unfortunately, none of the Android TVs currently on the market are able to work with an external webcam, and none of the Android TVs have a webcam. So for the video conferencing part, that didn't really work. On top of that, none of the huge TVs are actually touchscreen, so it was not the user friendliness we were looking for. We just wanted to have one photo to click on, and that would start a video call. There is a little bit of a solution to use it with a TV, with any TV. If you use the Android Shield, which is, I think, NVIDIA's little console, it's relatively cheap. That one does support the USB webcam, so you could do the video conferencing part already, but you still wouldn't have a solution for the touchscreen part.
And what about to have, for example, a ring, a mouse ring? That is quite easy to use to resolve the problem of the touch screen.
A mouse ring?
A ring, yes, it's like a ring, and you use the mouse on your hand. I don't know if you saw that on...
I'm not sure I understand.
It's like a ring, and
Yes.
it comes with 2 buttons.
Oh,
and
okay.
It pairs to the TV, and you can use that. The problem with the TV is that if you don't have a keyboard or a mouse integrated, it costs like $10. I bought M8S TV, Android TV, and the problem was that the remote control that it came with was with only 1 button, and when you try to type a web page, it's really hard to type a web page. So I bought a keyboard for $10, and it comes with a mouse incorporated and all that. So I'm wondering if you could use that.
It's
Yeah,
again
but
for user
Yeah,
experience.
the purpose of the project was to make something for people, for example, like my grandparents. They are unable to work with a computer. They cannot work with a cell phone. It's all way too complicated. So they do have, they're like 95 years old. They have a phone that has enormous buttons because they can't see very well. But still they have to dial or type every number by hand. So we wanted a solution for that they could, for example, do a video call with me. I'm not living in the same country as my grandparents. And that would have been a solution if it worked properly. But at the moment, we're not there yet.
Not only this, we just wanted to make sure that there's nothing in between them and the call. They don't have to turn on the TV. They don't have to plug in anything. They don't need to connect anything. As soon as they pick the headset, as soon as they pick the headset, they would immediately see the pictures and they would be able to complete the call. And this is very important for that particular market. For anything else, maybe your suggestions are better, but we definitely need to try certain things.
And wouldn't a tablet with an USB handset work? I don't know.
Well, this had exactly the same issue. So it would be expensive, and it would be with miserable latency if the tablet was affordable. So we did look into those options as well.
Well, a tablet is like $68 nowadays.
Yeah, but-
Irulu, for example.
Try what the audio latency will be like. It will be exactly the same as in our failed experiment.
Yeah, we tried 430 milliseconds.
And then we still have to be able to answer it by picking up the handset, for example. So it is a bit more complicated than that.
Buenas tardes. Muy interesante el producto que están desarrollando y particularmente para el mercado que lo están pensando. En su análisis de competencia, ¿cómo lo vieron a su producto contra WhatsApp? Que hay muchos abuelitos que lo están utilizando.
Well, I'm not sure I understand the question. I think I understood the question, but no. I think I'm okay. What is the advantage of this over WhatsApp, right? Yeah. Oh.
Lo que yo pienso es que hay muchos abuelitos hoy que usan WhatsApp, tienen la posibilidad de tener la imagen de a quien quieren llamar, tienen la posibilidad de apretando un botón. Estos abuelitos tienen la posibilidad de hacer una llamada tocando una imagen de su familiar, tienen la posibilidad de dar un mensaje de audio. O sea, ¿cómo competiría el producto de ustedes que están pensando contra algo que ya está bastante desarrollado?
Okay, thank you. I'll repeat the question for Joachim. Nowadays, grandparents have the ability to already use WhatsApp. No, what is the advantage of this product? I will answer on my side as well. It's again user experience. Not everybody can use WhatsApp, and there's a lot that can go wrong between the user and the call. So on the way to the call, there's a lot that can go wrong. You can go ahead and answer.
Yeah, so in my own situation, for example, if I want to have a video call with my grandparents have to wait for one of my uncles to pass by, start up a computer, start Skype, select my name, try to figure out where the video call button is, and then I can have a video call with my grandparents. They cannot do it on their own. They just get confused. They can follow simple steps, like they can do maybe 3 steps, power on the device, click on that button, but they can't do an awful lot more than that. They're not used to technology enough to be able to do that. So it's for a different market. WhatsApp will work fine for a lot of people. The solution we were trying to find is for maybe the 1% of the people that just can't do that. Think about people in retirement homes, people that might have some dementia, might have serious vision issues.
Hearing issues.
Hearing issue. This is the
So
target
we are
audience.
optimizing it for such cases. Now, yes, there are some elderly people who can already start WhatsApp and initiate a conversation, but imagine if you're using it regularly, how many times do you have to reset it, meaning to reapply settings to it, and how many times the video wouldn't work, or the audio wouldn't work, or you would have network issues. In our case, we want to avoid all these problems so that they don't have to go through the hassle of not being able to complete a call. So we want to make sure that the call can be completed in 100% of the cases, and they can hear the other side, and they can, in the ultimate case, they can see the other side. So this is why we decided, okay, there's no such thing, and we decided to build it. And we're still on the way there. And it's open, and you can get it and build it yourself as well.
Gracias.
Can I add something?
Thank you for the question. Gracias.
I'd like to add that basing your product in something delivered by one of the most evil corporations at the moment is probably not a good idea.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm way out of time. Thank you for coming. It was an honor.